Hi, I am Paul Vergara. My project is on the right whale. I don't know much about it, so I decided to go to the New England Aquarium to find out more information. After looking around the aquarium, I didn't find much information, so I decided to go to the right whale scientists so they could tell me exactly what the right whales do. I met Amy Knowlton. She is a marine biologist that studies right whales. She agreed to tell me all about them. Here's my interview with her. What do right whales look like? And where do they live? And what do they like to eat?
Okay. Right whales are one of the larger whales in the whale populations. They grow to about 50 feet long, and they're very fat and rotund animals. And the reason they got their name is that they were the right whales to kill during the hunting era, because they had a lot of blubber, they had very thick blubber layer, they're slow swimming, and they also have long baleen plates, which are used for feeding, that were used sort of like modern day plastics are used. They're very flexible and used for things like umbrella stays and corsets. So they're black. They have no dorsal fin. They have a very high arched lip to cover the baleen, and they have markings on their head called callosities, which are erupted cornified skin patches on top of their head, and that's what we use to identify the individuals.
What do they like to eat?
Right whales actually like to eat plankton. One of the largest whales eats one of the smallest animals, and it's little plankton about the size of the head of a pin, a zooplankton called calanus from Marchicus. It's a calanoid copepod.
Okay. How many are there now, and how did they become so rare?
There are approximately, we estimate about 400 right whales in the western North Atlantic, which is where this population lives, off our eastern seaboard. So about 400 animals in the population, and the reason they're so rare is that they were hunted for nearly 1,000 years before they were protected in 1935. And at that point, it's thought that there were maybe only a dozen or 50 whales remaining. So they've come back. We feel that they've probably come back to some degree since they were protected, but not very quickly.
How do you find them?
Well, we find them through both boat surveys, go to areas where we know the right whales typically aggregate in the season, or aerial surveys. There's some teams that send planes out in different parts of their range and habitat. But it's sort of like finding a needle in the haystack, because it's a pretty big ocean and not always easy to find.
What can people do to help right whales get better?
Well, I think it's partly really trying to protect our oceans from impacts of pollution, and it can help support. We're trying to get the federal government to put in some regulations to help reduce fishing gear entanglements by changing the way fishing gear is made, how it's set up. So fishing gear modifications, and also requesting ships to slow down as they come into port entrances, because that's where right whales migrate past. Their high-use habitats often intersect with heavy shipping areas. So we're trying to get the federal government to put some regulations in place, and it's a very slow process, unfortunately. So, we also have a right whale sponsorship program. It's like Adopt a Whale here at the aquarium, and money contributed to that goes directly to our research program here. So those are the few of the ways to help protect right whales.
What do you do with the whales to study them?
Mostly we take photographs of the whales to determine which individuals we've seen and how many in a given year have had a baby and how many are in the population, and also what sort of, whether they've been entangled or been struck by a vessel, because we need to know those things in order to understand what's impacting them and then protect them.
What is it like being a whale scientist?
It's a very interesting job, I have to say. Every day is different as to what we have to do, and I always am learning on this job. I've been doing it for 25 years, and I've always excited by it. I feel it's a real honor to be able to study such an endangered species and to try and do what we can to protect it. So it's a great job.
What is the most dangerous thing for a right whale today?
Today, right whales are faced with, they get frequently entangled in fishing gear, fixed fishing gear like lobster pot gear or gillnet gear. And they also get struck by ships or even small vessels. So they're really facing mortality now, not from hunting, but from just human activities and accidental impacts that nobody's trying to hit the whale, but it happens all too frequently. This whale is a whale known to, her name was Staccato, and she was found floating in Cape Cod Bay back in 1999. And we did what we call a necropsy. It's an animal autopsy where we cut the animal open to see if we could determine cause of death. And what we did was we flensed her carcass all the way down to the bone and found that she had multiple broken vertebrae that would have been caused by a blunt trauma from a ship strike. So each right whale carcass that's found, because they're so endangered, there's a huge effort put forward to get the carcass to shore to do the necropsy and determine cause of death. And through that process, we've learned that many right whales die from human activities. So that's what we're trying to help protect them from now is those negative impacts.
Thank you, Amy, for telling me all about right whales. This is the end of my report.